What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Locked in Sports, bringing you my 5 best bets for today, Friday, April 5th in the NBA. Got 5 picks today that I really like, I'm really confident in. Really did a lot of research for these picks, looking at how they've been playing recently, their last 10, in their last 5, how they've played against this team previously, their matchup, and just taking a lot of factors into consideration because I'm really thinking we're going to have a 5-0 sweep today. But before I can hop into the picks, got to hop into the recap. Before I hop into the recap, I just want to say that if you're watching these videos a lot, if you're making money off of them, which pretty sure you are because you have a great record here on the channel, don't know it off the top of my head, but it is down in the description below. We'll be improving it today. Then consider subscribing. Subscribing to get notified when I drop new videos. Sooner you get notified that a video drops, sooner you can place your picks, and the better the lines will be. And as always, leave a comment with your own picks and parlays down below. Leave a like on the video. Thank you very much. And with that out of the way, let's hop to a recap of yesterday. Now, I'll be honest, I'm recording this video kind of early, so I don't know the outcome of every pick. As I'm recording this, Terrance Mann is still playing. We had him for under 8.5. It's the fourth quarter. He has 6. I'm really confident in him still going under that line. I'm not sweating that one at all. He's not having a great game and hasn't been having great games recently. So, still feel confident in that one. But what picks hit for us, what didn't? Well, it was a rough day. We had 1 hit, 3 that didn't, that we know of so far. Like I said, hopefully Terrance Mann will still hit for us. But what worked, what didn't? Well, we had Barry Smith Jr. for under 8.5 rebounds, and yeah, he had 3. Easy, sweat-free bet. That was great. We had Amen Thompson for over 8.5 rebounds. He only had 4. He's been rebounding really well. Didn't this game. Really unfortunate. And we had De'Aaron Fox for under 25 points. He had 29. He was shooting lights out from beyond the arc, had like 8 points in the first couple minutes of the game. He went really crazy tonight, which is unfortunate for us. But yeah, it sucks that those two players had been going over and under their lines respectively so consistently recently, hitting it like 80, 90% of the time, and then just didn't work out for us. But that's kind of how sports betting goes sometimes. In the last pick, the most heartbreaking one of the day, in my opinion, Andrew Wiggins. We had him for over 14.5 points. He had 10. He tweaked his ankle in the third quarter and just didn't do anything from there. He came back in the fourth for a couple minutes, I believe, but didn't do anything, and now he's listed as questionable. So really unfortunate. He played about 10 fewer minutes than he had been since taking over as a starter, since Jonathan Kuminga is out. So I think if he played that extra 10 minutes, then he would have had those extra 5 points and he would hit this line. And that's one that just really hurts because it feels very out of our control that Wiggins got hurt. But it's okay. I'm really confident in today's picks. I really do think we're going 5-0. I'm confident. And yeah, let's get out of this little slump the channel's been in. Not a terrible slump, just not really improving our record. We're keeping it pretty stagnant. I'm excited to have this 5-0 sweep, so let's get into it. For my first pick of the day, I've got Tyrese Halliburton of the Indiana Pacers for over 20.5 points. Why? Well, he's only been averaging 19.2 over his last 10. And he only dropped 18 on the Thunder previously. But why I really like this pick is because SGA is out. SGA, obviously a great offensive player, but also a really strong defensive player. If you've seen highlights of his defense online, he's really strong, really great at man-to-man coverage, just sticking to his guy. And I think that without SGA there, the Thunder's defense gets weakened a lot. And their main playmaker, Halliburton, is going to see a lot more open looks coming down the floor without SGA pressuring him. Also, Halliburton's over this in 4 of his last 5. He might be averaging under in his last 10, but he's averaging over in his last 5. So more recently, he's been getting his scoring back in addition to his other stats. And I think this is a really good opportunity for him to go over his line. I mean, come on. It's one more 3 than he got against the Thunder previously when SGA was guarding him. Without SGA there, I think Halliburton easily sees one extra 3 cash in this line for us. So yeah, taking Tyrese Halliburton for over 20.5 points. Next up, I'm sticking with the same game, but heading over to the other side of the ball. Looking at the player that I really like, and it's Chet Holmgren for over 8.5 rebounds. Now, I said earlier, I'm looking a lot more at matchups this time. I'm looking at players who are out. I'm looking at just, matchups that players are going to have. And I really like back in Chet here. So let's get into his stats. Well, he's averaging 8 rebounds over his last 10 games, slightly under. But he did grab 13 against Indiana previously. Great matchup for him here. But I'll be honest, he's under in 5 straight. He's been close to this line, very close to this line, getting 7 or 8 rebounds in all those games, but he's been under in 5 straight. But here's why. Because he's been matched up against really strong bigs. He's been playing the likes of Nurkic, Porzingis, and Embiid, these big towering guys who are known for grabbing lots of rebounds, who can box out Chet, keep him from getting the ball. But then look at Indy. Miles Turner. Miles Turner averages what, 6 rebounds a game? He's not really known for his rebounding ability. And the Pacers are known for giving up a ton of rebounds. So yeah, Chet's been under this line a lot recently, but not by a lot. He's had tough rebounding matchups where he's still getting 7 or 8 rebounds. Put him in a matchup that's a great rebounding matchup against a team that gives up a ton of rebounds and doesn't have anyone that's really going to stop Chet from rebounding. I think he soars over this line easily, and I'm glad that it was this low because I think it's just a prime spot to back Chet Holmgren for 8.5 rebounds. For my next pick, and actually for all 3 picks coming up, I'm going over the Timberwolves versus Suns game. I know it's a huge slate today, and I'll be honest, as I was researching picks, not every game had its lineup, but about half of them did. But more than half the lines that I really liked came from this Timberwolves versus Suns game. These are 2 really strong teams, really competitive teams that both have a lot to play for. They're playing to secure their spot in the playoffs, to have better matchups once the postseason starts. So I think they both have a lot to play for. They've both proven that they're really strong teams that, are going to make each other work for the entire 48 minutes. So the first pick that I really like, it's Mike Conley of the Minnesota Timberwolves for over 13.5 points. Why? Well, he's been averaging 15.8 over his last 10, and he dropped 14 the last time he played the Suns. As I was looking through picks and researching this game, I realized that the Timberwolves didn't do too well against the Suns last time. I mean, a lot of the players didn't go over their lines, didn't do as well as they'd been averaging, and with the exception of Cat, and Cat's obviously out, so we can't bet on him, Mike Conley was one of the few who still played well against the Suns. That's why I like backing him. I think the Suns could really lock down a lot of the guys on the Timberwolves, but I don't think they'll be able to lock down Conley. I think he'll be one that's still really able to perform at a high level, still able to get his points up. He's also over in 4 of his last 5. You guys know, over in 4 of the last 5, 4 of the last 5 is a good spot to back a player. And yeah, from how he's been playing recently to the matchup here to just how I think the Timberwolves are going to have to rely on him a bit to score, I really like taking Mike Conley for over 13.5 points. These next 2 picks both come from the Phoenix Suns. First off, I'm taking Slim Reaper Kevin Durant for over 25.5 points. Why? Well, I'll be real. He's only averaging 22.7 over his last 10, but he's over this line in 4 of his last 5. I like looking at the average of the last 10 to see how a player's been doing well over the past couple weeks, but when it really comes down to it, how they're playing over their last 5, I do feel is more important. And KD's averaging over this in his last 5. Over in 4 of his last 5, great spot to back a player, and he dropped 31 on Minnesota previously. I like backing him here. He also went over this line even in one of those games where Booker just went off, because Booker's had a couple games recently where he's just gone off. And to see KD still be able to score, still be able to go over his line in a game where Booker just decides to go off is a good spot to back a player. Why am I not backing Booker? Well, it's because he's either been going crazy recently, scoring 40, 60 points, or he gets like 16. So I just like the consistency of Kevin Durant. Even in the one game where he went under, I don't think he was that far under his line. Yeah, like I said, he's over in 4 of his last 5. Good spot to back him. He's got a good matchup against the Timberwolves. So taking Kevin Durant for over 25.5 points. For my fifth and final pick of the day, I'm taking Yusuf Nurkic for a stat that you've probably never backed Nurkic on before. I'm taking his assists line. I like Yusuf Nurkic for over 3 assists. Why? Well, he's been averaging 3.7 over his last 10. Previously, against the Timberwolves, he dished 4 dimes, and he's over or tied this line in 5 of his last 5 games. He's over in 3 and tied in 2 of them. Looking at this game and looking at how Nurkic has been playing recently, his lines have dropped a lot. And I considered taking his points and his rebounds for under, both independently or together. But I was worried because Nurkic has some games where he just goes out there and plays a ton of minutes and sees a ton of opportunities to get rebounds and to get points. So I was worried that he might go over just based on volume and opportunity alone. And then I realized that his assist is a great place to back him because he's been averaging over this anyway. He's been hitting this in 5 of his last 5 anyway. But if he does happen to go out there and play an absurd amount of minutes and see a ton of opportunities, it just bodes better for us because he'll have more opportunities to drop dimes and get assists. Yeah, it's just a matchup that I like for him. It's a spot I like to back him. And I think if Nurkic gets in the paint, his best opportunity against Rudy Gobert to score is probably going to be to dish out, work in, draw attention, get the Minnesota defense on him, dish out, get some points, and yeah. Hopefully, I'd love to see Nurkic give him some assists to KD and hit both those together. That might have to be a parlay, but yeah, I like Yusuf Nurkic for over 3 assists. All right, those are my 5 best bets for today, Friday, April 5th in the NBA. Now, I hope you guys appreciated the sort of style of research I was trying to do with this video. I know the picks have been not even doing poorly, just kind of being kind of in the middle recently. And I really thought that delving into matchup specifics and really looking at how players are going to play against their opponents specifically will help us hit more often here. But as always, I still have cutting room floor picks because I dig up a lot of picks in my research. And I don't like putting them all in the main section of the video. I like sticking to the 5, 6 that I like the most. But I'll give out my additional picks in case you guys want something to add to a parlay. You just like the player, or you're thinking about taking the pick anyway. I only have a few today, so I'll rattle them off quickly. We have Andrew Nembhard for over 8.5 points. He's been averaging 10.7 over his last 10, dropped 14 on OKC previously, and is over in 3 of his last 5. DeAndre Ayton for over 14.5 rebounds plus assists. He's been averaging 11 and 1.7 over his last 10, but he had 16 and 2 against the Wizards previously, and he's over in 3 of his last 5. Both the Wizards and the Trailblazers have a ton of injuries they're dealing with, and it was really hard finding a pick in that game that I felt confident in. But Aiton's the one consistent factor that, he's been playing, he's been there, except when it snows, obviously, because, Ayton can't go out in the snow. But yeah, I like backing Ayton for that line. And lastly, I have Grayson Allen for over 6 rebounds plus assists. He's averaging 3.3 and 4 over his last 10. He only had 3 and 2 against Minnesota last time, though, but he is over or tying this line in 4 of his last 5. So good spot to back him, but I didn't like the matchup. Like I said, I'm trying to focus in on matchups a lot today. And yeah, just trying to capitalize on when and where a player is going to be doing especially well and beating the lines using that. So with that all out of the way, that is all for today's video. I will hopefully have an NBA power ranking coming out soon. And I noticed that if you're an Underdog drafter, I like Underdog a lot, which is a sports book I use most of the time. They have NFL 2024-25 full season picks that came out very recently. And some of them are absurdly low. And I'm hoping to make a video on those soon. And if you guys are into football, come on, we all need something to tie us over between other sports, and gotta admit, football is probably my favorite sport. I'll be having a video coming out for you talking about those picks for next season, and yeah, hope that you guys find those upcoming videos interesting, and you'll be there to watch them when they drop. Should be coming out soon, hopefully, but that's all for today. Let's have a good one, and let's make some money. Yeah.